Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's class. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, please click on the red subscription button to subscribe to this YouTube channel so that when I drop more educative content, you get notified. Welcome to the second class on linear programming. So, if you have not watched the first video class, please ensure you watch that before coming here because, of course, if you did not check that out, there's no way you're going to understand this. So, in this class, I'll be discussing and solving on the second aspect of the question we started earlier on. So the second aspect, we state that we should calculate the extra cost involved in increasing time availability in production departments, is 10 naira per hour and 20 naira per hour in assembly departments. Advise the management as to whether the company should increase the time commitment to either department. So I explained the concept of what we call shadow price, shadow price alongside slack and surplus resources. Now, what did I mean by, or what do we mean by shadow price? Shadow price is just simply the extra income or extra contribution you are going to earn when you increase your limited resources, when you increase your constrained resources. That means that if my available labor hours is just 100 and I increase my labor hours from 100 to, let's say, 101 hours. So by how much is my contribution going to increase? If at this point of 100 my contribution is just, let's say, 150, and at this point of 101 my contribution is 157, then my contribution has increased from by 7. So this is what we call the shadow price. And I hope you know as well that contribution is simply selling price minus variable costs. So that is that about that. Now, what do we now mean by slack or surplus resources? Now, there's something you need to know that for slack or surplus resources, we don't calculate shadow price. And why is it like that? Let me give you a good example. Let's say in an organization where we have the limited labor hours is 150 hours. And at the point where we will maximize contribution, don't forget that from what we did earlier, we calculated the best point that maximized the contribution. So the total available hours, labor hours, is 150 hours. Then what maximizes our outputs, what we actually need to maximize our output or to maximize our contribution rather, is 100 labor hours. Now, we can't calculate shadow price on this simply because if I have 150 hours and all I need is 100 hours, what's the essence of increasing this 150 to 151 or 152 when at the point where I'm maximizing my contribution, I only need 100? So whenever we have a slack or surplus resources and you're being told to calculate the shadow price, you just tell them that we can't calculate shadow price simply because at that point we have a slack or what we call a surplus resources. So let's go. I'm going to, this is, don't forget that this is the equation 1 from the question we solved earlier. This is the equation 2 from the question we solved earlier. And this equation 1, if you take the video back, if you watch that first video, you realize that this equation 1 is the constraint that we have in the production department. We were able to get this equation from the constraint in the production department. And we're able to get this equation from the constraint in the assembly department. So let's go. We are going to solve this B part using these two. Let's see how we go about that. From the question, we've been told that the cost involved in increasing time availability in production department is just 10 naira per hour. So 10 naira per hour, this is for production department. So we go 150x plus 120y is equals to, if I'm to increase this by 1 hour, don't forget that this 14,400 is in minutes. So add 60 minutes to it. So that will be 14,460. That means if I'm to increase production department by 1 hour, and there's something I need to say that I can increase production department hour without increasing assembly department hour. Is very, very possible. I can decide to increase assembly time hour without increasing production department hour. So we are going to calculate for production department at the same time assembly department. So this is me increasing the production department by 60 minutes, which is extra 1 hour. Then I will bring the equation for the assembly time, which is 30x plus 40y is equals to 3,600 without increasing it. Then I will do for the second one. The second equation will now be 150x plus 120y equals to 14,400. Then 30x plus 40y equals to 3,660. So leaving production department constant and increasing assembly department by 1 hour. So let's go. This is a simultaneous equation. We solve simultaneously. But first of all, to simplify this, you can divide all through by 10 to reduce the bigger numbers. So we say 150 divided by 10, we have 15x plus 12y is equals to 1460. Yes. Here we have 3x plus 4y is equals to 360. So from here we can use the elimination method by multiplying this by 3, multiplying this by 15. So 3 times 15 we have 45x plus 3 times 12 we have 36y equals to 1460 times 3. That gives us 4380. 4380. So we have the same 15 times 3, we have 45x plus 15 times 4, that gives us 60y equals to 15 times 360. 15 times 360, 5400. Then I introduce minus to cancel this guy here and this guy here. So this is out. 36 minus 60, I have 24. 36 minus 60, I have minus 24y equals to 4380 minus 5400. That gives me minus 1020 naira. Then divide both sides by minus 24 minus 24. So therefore my y is equals to divided by 24. That gives me 42.5. So if labor production department hour is being increased by 1 hour, then we are going to be producing y 42.5 units. Then let's calculate how many units of x will be producing if production department is being increased by 1 hour. Then we substitute the value of my y in any of these two equations, whether this equation or this equation. I'd like to go with this second equation. Let me see equation 4, equation 3, equation 1, equation 2. Then, okay, from equation 4, which is 3x plus 4y is equals to 360. And I'm going to be having y is 42.5, substituting y, 3x plus 4, 42.5 is equals to 360. So 4 times 42.5, that gives me 170. So 3x plus 170 equals to 360. So in that situation, I'm going to collect like terms by saying 3x is equals to 360 minus 170. So 3x equals to 360 minus 170, that gives me 119. So I divide both sides by 3, that gives me 63.3. X is equals to 63.3. Now, what does this mean? This means that if my production department is being increased by 1 hour, I'm going to be producing 42.5 units of Y and 63.3 units of X. And don't forget, from what we solved earlier, we get to realize that the quantity of X and Y that maximize my contribution is what I wrote here, which is for X is 60, Y is 45. From what we solved earlier, the unit of X that gives us the highest contribution is when X is 60 and Y is 45. But now, if we increase the hour in production departments by 1 hour, which is going to cost us 10 naira to do that, it's going to cost us 10 naira to increase the hour in production department by 1 hour. So if we increase that hour in production department, this is the number of Y we'll be producing. Y will fall from 45 to 42.5, and X will increase from 60 to 63.3. Now, what we want to do now is we want to calculate the contribution at this point, at the point when Y is equal to 42.5, and at the point where Y is equal to 63.3, and see if it is if you can advise the organization to proceed and go ahead with that. So what is my objective function? My objective function is 25x plus 30y, which is my objective function. So from our objective function, which is 25x plus 30y. Now, at this point, x is 63.3. So 25 into bracket 63.3 plus 30 into bracket. What is my y? 42.5. 42.5. Now 25 times 63.3. That gives me 1582.5 plus 30 times 42, 42.5. That gives me 1275. So if we add the two together, plus 1582.5, that gives me 2857.5. 2857.5. Now, at this point, when x is 60, y is 45, we calculated our contribution to be 2850. If you follow through from the previous class, you see that our contribution at this point is 2850. Now, if we now increase hours in production department by 1 hour, our contribution will increase from 2850 to 2857.5. So what is the net increase? So that will be 2857.5 minus 2850. The net increase is just 7.5. So contribution will increase by just 7.5. And how much will it cost the organization to increase the hours in the production department? It will cost them 10 naira. So it is, if it is going to cost the organization 10 naira to increase hours in the production department, and from increasing the hour we are going to only make a contribution of 7.5, then definitely our advice is be not to will be to the organization that they should not increase the production hour, because it's going to cost them more than they are going to realize eventually. So this, our advice is that they should not increase the hours in the production department. And this is the same thing you're going to do for assembly department, that you're going to advise the organization. And how do we go about that? This is how we go about it. So to form the simultaneous equation that we'll be using to determine the assembly department is just something similar. The normal production department equation or constraint, which is 150x plus 120y equals to 14,400. Now, increasing assembly department constraint by 60 minutes, which is an hour, 30x plus 40y is equals to 3,000. Instead of 600, 660. Then we will now solve this equation 1 and equation 2. They said the amount is going to cost in assembly department is 20 naira from the question. That means that to increase hours in assembly department is going to cost them what? 20 naira. So if you solve and you see that your net contribution is greater than 20 naira, then they should go ahead to increase hours in assembly department. But if the net contribution is not up to 20 naira, then they should not engage in that, because of course that is loss, and that's going to reduce the amount of contribution they make. So this brings us to the end of the first video. This is meant to be the continuation of the first video on linear programming. And in my next class, I'll be solving a more typical question, a more tedious one, the one that has some extra additional information in case, for the sake of those that are writing professional exams. So to not miss that, please click the red subscription button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that when I drop more educative content, you get notified. Thank you. It's a bye for now.